Alrighty, testing. Are we alive? Are we in sync? Let's hope so. That took way too long for me to get up and running. Remind me never again to reboot. Remind me, yeah, not to reboot this machine ever. At least not until I've spent another $1,000 or so and bought myself a 4-port Magewell capture card or something like that, because... Oh, and not to mention the cameras to go with it. That is insane. Yes, very late night, Greg. Very late night. Alright, let's get the gloves on. I didn't mean to do a stream tonight. It wasn't my plan. It just happened because I found this thing and I thought this is a perfect example of why I like the Chipmunk over just plain old Fanspin. And Sarah, Microfix, The Sinister, Richard Bicker, hello. APL's here too. Ayub, Hamed Allah, hello. And Pablo. Alright, we've got enough people here. Let's see, I got the wrong view. Let's see. Hey, Siki. And Zoltan, Kapat. Margarita. Alright, we got pretty much everybody. Let's go overhead. Get that out of the way. That's for another day. Right. Alrighty, we hey Ed and Ainsley. This is a board that came out of a machine that I suffered a bounce on. That is, I sent it off thinking it was fixed, and then it got to the customer and it didn't work. And that caused a fair bit of drama and cost me a bit of money to fix, but you know, these are the things you do as a business. If you can't take the hits, then you probably shouldn't be in the business. Yes, Steve K, very late night. Alright, so I'm definitely not going to be singing like the Chipmunks, that's for sure. Hey, Don Matthews. Dave Wilson from California, good old California. Okay, so this is the Chipmunk, and yeah, it's you've heard me go on about them before, and they're a pretty good little alternative if you don't want to put the fan in. But there was a discussion the other night what was the point of buying a Chipmunk, especially even when you can use just a USB stick. So like, say something like this, and these will have built-in LEDs so you can always tell when there is power. But I've just noticed my exposure is a little bit high here, so I'm just going to adjust that. Cancel. Let's see. Let's pull the... Did just exposure. OBS has changed things around quite a lot on me here. Menu mode, maybe backlight compensation. Yeah, okay, that'll do it. Yeah, OBS has changed things quite a lot, as in they've now integrated the webcam controls into the OBS system itself for Linux. They didn't have that before, and there's a bit of a bug in there or something, and if I try changing some things, it would just lock up the whole OBS, and anyway, I was fighting with that for the last 15 minutes. Hey, James Finnegan. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, if we do a... So this is a 165, good old 820165. Let's see, we've got power on. Yep, we do. You little bugger, you're not going to do anything now, are you? Alright, so we've got fan spin. And you think, okay, that's great, that's fixed. You know, being 34, 37, it's going to do the upstart. Yeah, Mr. Mecca, it was a bit of a shocker because I was trying to make some adjustments the other night, and all of a sudden everything just locked. I shouldn't say locked, it was just very slow, like trying to run through frozen treacle in a dream. Okay, so this is booting, and you think, well, you know, what's the problem? There's nothing going on there. Now let's hope this actually works now and I don't end up wasting all your time. But we put in the Chipmunk. Now remember, this is a bounce board, and I couldn't work out what was going on with it. Okay, so we've got our fan spin again. The SMC seems to be a bit twitchy on this. Okay, we're back. But you'll notice something here. Okay, we've got a power light when it comes up again. Okay, we've got a power light. But what we don't have is our 5-volt light. And the reason why we don't have the 5-volt light, and this is where the Chipmunk's useful, is that the 5-volt rail feeding into this is too low. And you will not detect that if you just use a fan spin. You're like, well, we've got fan spin, we must have 5-volt rail. But the trouble is the 5-volt rail is running low. So now I've got to bring up Flex Boardview, a trashy piece of software that I sell for a very good price. Let's see. I'm bringing up the 165 3437. So switching to program mode. Okay, so if we look at the USB connector, let me get PDF. And we go over here, we see it's powered by this 5 or whatever. Which way have we got? CPU up. Okay, so it's pretty much any of these ones up here. If we go back to, I wonder if we can do the all-in. The all-in work? Yep, that'll work. Let's get my meter. I don't know which side's which. Okay, and there we go. I realised I haven't got. See that? It's reading 4.3 volts. So they've actually got a fault here, but the thing is, the board boots even with that, but the trouble is, it's not reliable like that. And so by having only 4.3 volts, that is why this extra indicator is not coming up on the Chipmunk. Anyway, so I'm gonna try and actually fix this now that I know what the heck's going on, because it was completely bamboozling me as to what was going on before. We don't want my big ugly face. Let's see, overhead. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming view. Good on you, YouTube. And it looks like YouTube just killed my chat window. Ah, there we go. Yeah, Warren Stamps, I am actually up quite late. I was going to go to bed and then, Anyway, so, question is now, why is that rail low? What's dragging it down? I guess I'll have to find out what, where it's generated for a start. Now we get to the part that I don't know anything. Like how to repair boards. Who knows how to do that? I don't. So basically, I suppose the first couple of things I should do is find out where that's generated. I think is it U7600? No, that's 105. 7501. Honestly, you'd expect I'd know this stuff off by hand, but I really don't. Let's see. I'm guessing maybe 7501 generates it. Yeah, there's no CD23215 on this. Okay, we'll just disconnect that. Like I said, I would never have picked that. It's just happened to be that I was just looking around on the board and I noticed that the Chipmunk was not displaying quite right. Okay, there's a few sort of like messed up looking resistors there, so it could be the feedback is not correct or something. Honestly, the amount of 1466s I go through, you'd think I'd know this stuff off by heart, but really I just don't. I'm very much like a Turing machine. I've got like a stack this big. Well, actually, no, Turing machine's got infinite stack. I've got a current storage capacity of nothing. And so I have to constantly reiterate over things. I'm just going to verify that it is in fact coming out of here, so we should be able to test on this resistor, inductor here. And if we do have the 4.4 on there, then we know we're on the mark. Well, it's either there's a load on the line that's quite heavy, but given that the power meter is only, it's showing a fairly normal level, it would tend to make me think there's a feedback fault. But I just want to be sure that I am getting 4.4 out of this particular coil here. Yeah, you can see it's unstable, which is probably why I came back. Oh, that's my 3v3. I'm an idiot. I want L70. Yeah, L7520. Right, now I'm on board. Dear God. Did someone mention it's close to midnight? Because that's going to be my excuse. And once again, it's become unstable. Yeah, 4.3. Alright. We've got it in our sights now. Arnold G, like I said, the current consumption is not high enough to make me think that there's a load causing it to drop down. The current consumption, if anything, is actually lower than it should be, because normally I should get about 600. But if we look at the feedback points on this generator, once I just bring up Flex Boardview again, all in maybe? Yeah, we'll just go straight to that. Okay, oops. Okay, so we are getting the 4.4 volts on this device here. By the way, notice how that on my streams, the mouse pointer actually does go to the right place, unlike on a Rossmann stream, where his mouse pointer is always offset, and then he has the nerve to blame me for his incompetence. I don't know why I put up with that boy. I shouldn't say boy, because that's a really unkind way of trying to put people down. I don't really mean that. I'm sorry, Lewis, forgive me. Anyway, okay, so this VFB1, that's our feedback point on the chip. So I'm going to guess that there could be a problem there with one of these resistors. So it's 7520 and 7521. And they just happen to be the two on the top edge there. And if we zoom in on them, they look a little cranky. I wouldn't say that they're explicitly bad, but there's also not the greatest. And then what are they being fed by? They're being fed by this 7523, which is right at the end, and that's a 10 ohmer. Okay, so I need to check all three of these resistors here to make sure they are in fact what they should be. Yeah, sorry, I would have gone back to Camscape, but I knew I was going to be talking about on the, what do you call it, on the schematic a little more. I mean, most of that looks like surface corrosion, but clearly there's something amiss. It could be the controller itself having issues internally. But for now, oh well, let's just drag that little line of goober over there. Yeah, it's not bouncy, it's quite stable. So like I said, that's why feedback's my first look at. Now I'm not going to take these resistors off, I'm just going to rotate them. And then that way I can at least find out. It could also be that there could be a bad trace. Come on, man, don't tombstone on me. Alright, now we can actually test them. Hey, John Bigman. Yeah, the resistors do look gnarly, but it's more just surface corrosion on them. I'll just polish up my tips. Which I might use the tweezer polisher to improve the quality of my multimeter tips. I always say microscope when I mean multimeter. It's that brain issue again, I think. The time is 1 AM, 10 to 1. Okay, so we've got resistance mode up. Now this one here should be a 10. And that's pretty smack on, so I'm happy with that. And let's see, 7520, this should be 41K too. That's pretty smack on 41K too. And the other one should be a 10K. Classic 10K. And that's smack on as well. Alright, so that does leave us a bit of a predicament, because it seems the feedback is not, the resistors aren't faulty at this point. So now I'm just gonna check where the whole, I'm gonna see if there's a feedback point that I can go from. You little mongrels are gonna be on the other side, aren't you? Ah. Alright, what we can do in this case, pin 2 is actually connected to the other side. This one here, it goes through to the other side up where the coil and caps are. And we can actually then now check the resistance between here and where it comes in, I'm pretty sure here. And see if we have any large values. And we do not. That point, I know it's coming up 0.4. But 0.39, the lower limit on this cheap nasty meter, okay, it's not really cheap nasty meter, they just, for some reason you can't zero out the lead resistance on these meters, and I don't know why, because that is exactly what I'd like to do now, is press a button and zero the resistance on it so that it would come up 0. Anyway, that's effectively 0 on this meter. Like if I join the tips together like this, it should also eventually stabilize to around about the same value. Okay, so we're about 10 milliohms off 1020. That could easily just be pitting in the tips too. Hey Mick. It could be the caps as well, though you would think that the only reason I would say it's not the caps is on the basis of the fact that you should normally only see the voltage start to falter if the load picks up. Under light load, they should still keep producing enough output. It's a bit like when you have backlight coils failing on you, and at lower outputs it's okay, but as soon as it picks up, that's when you start to see the issue. Yeah, I'll first rotate these back and see if it comes up. See if it comes up as 5 volts. And if it's still at the 4 point whatever, then yeah, anyway. I'm just experimenting here. We already know what we're after in terms of the region and stuff. There is another possibility, and that is maybe the other half. Like we just tested the top side of the feedback circuit. We didn't test to see what this one's like, whatever that third resistor is. Oh, that's ground, so it's not going to matter. Yep. Sarah, I don't have a scope that can do that, so that's going to be a big fat no for that. It doesn't look unstable at this point. Well, KL, I don't change leads at all, really. These are, these are my preferred leads. They stay with the meter. They're very low resistance, high quality leads. And the tips basically never change either. Okay, that's probably cooled off enough now. 600. Look at that. We've got our 5 volt back. So there was something wrong with the feedback resistors. Yeah, possibly a bad connection. So what I'll do is I'll remove all 3 resistors and we'll put fresh ones in there because we don't know which one it is. It could be that the resistor just behaves when it's warm. It could be a fracture in it. It could be a bad end cap. We just don't know. So we'll wipe all 3 off, put a new batch of 3 on there. But I would never have really picked up that in a hurry anyway. I know, never in a hurry, yeah. I basically wouldn't have picked that up in a hurry if I hadn't have seen the fact that this 5 volt line indicator did not come up. So for that alone, I've already just saved the amount that it costs to buy one of those. So it was down to 4.4, so it looks like that's about the lower limit of when these MacBooks will start to give up. I'm actually surprised they were that tolerant. I honestly would have thought anything below maybe 4.8, it would have given up. Let's stick these somewhere on a magnet. I just want to get a magnet so I can collect those resistors and have a look at them closer under the microscope later. There's a nice thing about these parts is you can see it, they're magnetic. I'm not sure which part of them is ferrous, but they definitely are attracted to the magnet. Greg, I'd say probably quite a few times, to be honest. I mean, if I've caught it once already, and I'd say I've probably only done about maybe 100 machines here. So you can only imagine how many times it's slipped through on their side. I mean, if you did go through and you have your due diligence and you started measuring the voltages on the rails and things like that, then you would probably catch it eventually. But the thing is, half the problem was that it was transient, or intermittent rather. So that's what sort of caught me out, because I put this through testing, and I did a lot of testing on this board before I gave it to the customer originally, and it still managed to die on me. Oh, what am I doing using this? This is a barbarian's tip. Oh, and I don't have my fume extractor on. Well, I've had a look at the traces and they do seem to be okay. I might have to just send one of the chipmunks I have to Lewis. The only trouble is if I send him something, he probably won't ever realise I've sent it to him. And then if I do, he'll probably lose it. He already lost a bunch of other stuff that I sent him for testing. I just can't rely on him. The only thing I can rely on him for is abuse about my software. Admittingly, he has changed recently. Since I requested the domestic violence order thing, he's backed off. Hey, Harold, I hope you don't mind, but I just pretty much proved why having a CMI zapper is so damn useful. To be fair, Lewis does have some, yeah, his shakes really don't help him when it comes to soldering. I mean, I've got the shakes too, but nowhere near as bad as Lewis. And that's because of, yeah, there's reasons why he's got those shakes, and there's not much you can do about it. Me, on the other hand, I could just back off the coffee a bit, but where's the fun in life? Backing off coffee. I think I need to zoom out a bit here. It's a bit close for comfort. Ah, Corey, a joke, of course. Lewis and I get along perfectly fine. We like to have a bit of international bantering. But push come to shove, we go out of our way to try and help each other where we can. You know, he's done a lot for Right to Repair, and I guess if I had to say something I've done a lot for open source software. So we understand sort of what we're doing in our lives. I mean, for sure, I'm running a commercial software sales now with Flex Boardview, but there's still a lot of open source projects that I'm doing. Like if you look at all the multimeter software that I do, that's all free. And any of the little projects that I do, just setting up all the work here, yeah, I usually make it free. Hello, Dan. That is, I don't recognize that currency. Is that yen? I'm not sure. Japanese yen? No, yen's different. Where did I learn the MacBook repairs? Funnily enough, I did. Someone forced me, kind of thing, to repair a MacBook. And about halfway through repairing it, I found Lewis Rossmann streams, and that kind of helped as well. There was a bit of a process behind it, but overall, I was already repairing main boards as it was, and moving to MacBooks was something, I guess, facilitated a bit quicker now by Lewis. Let's see. Got the shakes and I have to do iPhones most of the time. So, oh yeah, no. Well, TechFix, I completely appreciate trying to do iPhones with the shakes. No thanks. I have a very hard time with that. I was doing an iPhone 6S backlight rebuild, and I must have done it 2 or 3 times. It was just getting out of hand. I was also quite nervous because the fact the previous time I'd done one, the 6S just spontaneously died on me, and I was like, brilliant. That's what I need for confidence. Just doing a backlight job and bam, it died. So I wasn't happy about that. India, rupees, right. Unfortunately, no, I don't do teaching other than what I do on these videos, and even the videos I don't really teach. It's more a case of you can watch what I do and I share what I can, but I don't teach. If you want teaching, then you want people like Jessa Jones and similar. Is that a chip in the end of that? That looks like a chip in that. Or is it just bad solder? It's very hard to tell exactly at these angles and size, what do you call it, scales. Need better tweezers. Hey, House of Moth, good to see you. Flatlander, how are you going with that with the Bluetooth? Is that on Windows or is that on Linux? Because honestly, if a meter has Bluetooth, I basically walk away from it. No offense to Dave Jones, I think he's got a great meter in terms of its technical specs, but I just can't use it because it's got Bluetooth, and I'm like, eh. If it was USB or serial or something like that, then I'd be right on board and I'd happily do it. It's hard to say, but it kind of looks like there might be a little damage on that one. Unfortunately, this scope... You know what I'll do? I'm going to drop this to... can you pull? Yeah, I'm going to knock the Barlow off this. So just bear with me. The technical difficulties will... Now I don't want to do this for too long because it means my primary objective lenses are going to be exposed while I do this, but I'm not going to be doing any soldering, so it's okay. Shoot. How am I supposed to do this now? If you have no Barlow on your... Damn it. I'm going to have to get the lens assembly. Yeah, if you're not using a Barlow on your microscope, so you're basically just running it 1x, then buy yourself a 1x Barlow lens. It's just that. There's no actual magnification or anything in it, but it protects your primary objective lenses and stops them from getting damaged, dirty and all that sort of stuff from the splattering from the flux and the fumes and the smoke and just generally anything and everything. They don't cost much and they will preserve the life of your optics for quite a bit longer. Alrighty. And at this point I realise that because there's so much... Let's drop it on a chunk of aluminium. That should do the trick. Okay. Okay, so now we don't have a Barlow on here. This is just the 1X. And it's definitely... You can tell the quality is better. Mr. Mech, if you have a threaded underside, then it should. I'm just going to crank the light up as much as I can. I'm kind of blinding myself here, but the things I do. Definitely, if you can work at like a 30-degree angle with your micro tools, then working on these boards without a Barlow, without a magnification reduction is certainly a much nicer way of doing things. That, or if you can afford, damn it, if you can afford some extremely good quality reduction lenses, then that would probably help too. Like if you can get something like Carl Zeiss or selenium reduction lenses or something like that, then that would be really nice. You've been a right little fickle beast. Come on, can you... And that is out of here. I have no idea where that one went. Gone. Gone to the outfield. Never to be seen again. Oh well. There are some defects on them, but I don't know if it's enough. Yeah, UV filter is usually what you can get. Like with cameras. Yeah, you protect your $3,000 lens by putting just a UV filter on the front. Anyway, we tried. Let's have a look at the circuit board. I may have to put the board on. Yep, I'm gonna have to put it on something. A nice chunk of wood would have done the trick. Wood would work if wood were here. Oh, come on, I've got a room full of bits and pieces and I can't find anything that's... This is where it'd be nice to have some engineers' blocks. Those things are really handy to have. Oh, let's try this filter. It's pretty disgusting, but it should do the trick. Yeah, engineering blocks are marvelous things. You see how much nicer everything looks under the microscope without the Barlow, and that's why Lewis doesn't like using Barlows. And I completely agree with him. It's just it's really difficult to work sometimes under the microscope with the limited amount of distance that you get, because if you go to no Barlow, you're down to around about I think about 70 millimeters of working height, whereas if you use a 0.7 you get up to about 100 millimeters, and that extra inch, 30 millimeters or so, that really makes a difference. Dan Andrea, we're just making a video of the fact that, well, we had defects on these resistors here, and we found them because of the fact that a CMI zapper chipmunk, this thing here, actually was doing what it's meant to be doing, and it showed that we had power, we had USB, but we didn't have a steady 5 volts, so it wasn't a proper 5 volts. And by the fact that we didn't have that light activating, we knew something was going on with the 5 volt rail, which was causing this to be unstable. And yeah, so I was able to fix that, because that one's been plaguing me for quite some time, and as I mentioned before, it cost me a bit of money to deal with the after effects of it. Let's just verify that it wasn't a one-off. Yeah, I mean, straight away it comes up good now, so it definitely was something wrong with either those 3 resistors or the soldering under them. I need to turn down my LED light there. It's kind of blinding me from here. Did we get our green blinks? Yep, okay, that's good. Alright, so basically we're fixed and that's it. I'll throw this one in the bin. I suppose I should boot it in a chassis and just make sure. I can see this has got imperfections on it already, so I should actually clean this. Let's see, where's my cleaning kit? I do have a lens cleaning kit. It's a bit of a dodgy, but it should do the trick. And do not put them in the ultrasonic cleaner, by the way, unless it is truly a pristine ultrasonic cleaner setup, and most of them are not. Most of them are as dirty as my workshop is here. Damn. I put aside that lens cleaner kit because I knew I'd need it, and now I can't find it. Fantastic. On the floor where it's nice and dirty. No. Bugger. I don't know what I've done with it. It's around here somewhere. It's just more annoying me that I can't find it when I needed it. Oh, there it is. Just had to give up, and then the universe decided to give it to me. Hey, Thomas Logic. Okay. There shouldn't really be any dust on it because it should, because this is facing down, gravity does the trick that we want. But of course, while we turn it up, that's always the risk. Let's see. This is going to be a very rough first pass. This is 99% or 99.98% isopropylene. Put them in a glass jar and put the glass jar in the ultrasonic cleaner. That's actually a nice idea, Marcelo, yeah. Right, so the vibration goes through the glass, but you've got a pure environment within the glass. That's actually quite smart. I like that. Alright, that's clean now. There's no speckles that there were before. So I can screw that back on. Just finish off with flux. Yeah, wipe it with the shirt, that's always a good idea, eh? Maybe if you make your shirt out of, we'll get the old chamois cloth from the car cleaning kit. That won't have anything nasty on it. Yeah, that is true, Donald, about watching out that you don't eat the lens coatings. Fortunately, these lenses are non-coated, but you are quite correct. Alright, let's see how we look now. I think we're looking, yeah, a bit cleaner again. Yeah. Let's have a look at that area that we worked on. There's obviously a bit of light loss, but it's not too bad. That's pretty good, I think. We should be happy with that. It's cleaned up nicely. Now what I should really also be doing are my eyepieces, because they are just truly filthy. I never really know how to do the eyepieces the best way. They tend to defeat me a bit. I think half the problem is they've got the rubber seal on, the rubber ring around them, and I don't want to damage the rubber ring. What? Lewis paid $300 for a light ring? You're kidding me? What's the bet? He tries to overclock it. Okay, that's pretty good. What the... Oh hell, man. I've actually got I've got a lock screw in here. God damn. The worst thing is I don't even know whether it's Phillips or... And I can't look at it because... Oh wait, I've got glasses. Oh, it's a fibre optic. Okay, alright, in that case it'll be okay. Those things are tough. Okay, I have a bet that I am going to lose this Phillips head grub screw here. So long, screw. It was nice knowing you. Thanks for all your... I lost it. Yeah. I knew I would. I should have just got a magnet to it, but I didn't. It's too late to save it now. I'm not getting inside of the eyepieces, I'm just dealing with the actual top portions like that you look into. I don't put my eyeballs on them, but just the general dust coming down is enough. Oh wow, look at that, I can actually see now. You always forget how pretty it is until, you just sort of day by day it gets worse, and hey, what'd you turn off for? What is the point of saying on a Mac, ooh, you crashed. Did you? Did you crash? Oh, you ran out of power. Whoops, my bad. Come back to me. Let's see if that comes back. I thought it crashed. It's a machine I've got in testing, but I forgot that I actually took the power off it because I wanted to test that the battery would run down and then charge up again. Except I forgot. And so that's why it went black, because it said, I'm out of power, I'm out of here. Okay, get those combos of alcohol out of the way. Does it come back up yet? Nope. Ah. Yeah, it's down at 1%. So that's good. It did its job properly. It actually proved itself in spite of me not understanding what I was looking at. Hey, anonymous repair. Let's see. Your best friend for lenses is Roscoe Lens Cleans. It looks like windshield washer fluid, but it has a different composition. Tends to help resist dark and fogging issue. I use it for TV broadcast lenses. Okay, Donald Henson. I'll have to have a look for that. Is that something I can get in Australia? Or is it a universal sort of product? I think the biggest problem with ring lights, by the way, is the fact that almost all of them are made using the 5mm lensed LEDs, just as a great big cluster. None of them are using like chip LEDs that you just put on board and then maybe put a diffuser over it. I think it would be better if you did it that way, like you put a whole bunch of I don't know, Cree LEDs reasonably close together on a PCB, and then put a bit of a diffuser on there so as to avoid the multi-shadow casting. Let's see, I mean, if 10, this is, it's a wee tad bright. I mean, this is a good ring light. This is the 144 ring, so it does a good job. But and they're 3mm ones. And the other thing is that they're all focused sort of to around about that sort of point, which is fine, but I think it's a bit of an overkill. You don't really need to do that. I think if you just have a good ambience diffusion, then it should be okay. So what I could do is replicate that on a circuit board, probably make it a little bit bigger, and then use chip LEDs, and maybe put a better heatsink on the back. I think you could make a better one. Just someone has to do it. I'm kind of getting sick of having to do everything myself. Check out Sunshine SCO33 ring light. Alright, let's have a look at what that is going to be. Okay, Sunshine SCO33. It looks much the same as what we already got here. Now I'm after something that's from Banggood for all. Yeah, I've noticed Lewis has a circular polarizer on it. Look, this is the 144 that comes with the amp scope, and I'd definitely put it above that Sunshine 033. Amp scope 144 LED light. Yeah, this is the one that I've got. And it's distinct. It is a very good light. It served me very well. It hasn't ever given me flickering issues or anything like that, and I never use it really at full brightness. So usually I'm around about 75%, and I'm very happy with that. Yeah, actually, while I'm here, I may as well look for that stuff that was mentioned. Do not clean with steel wool. I just saw that, Steve K. Roscoe lens cleaner, right. Roscoe lens cleaner. Okay, lens cleaning tissues. Roscoe lens cleaner. Cheap enough. And yeah, okay, yeah. Is this the stuff you're talking about? So hopefully it is. Don Matthews, a little off topic here, but where is the icon from the open board view installed? Good question, I don't recall. It should be in the shame that I can't remember. In the assets folder. Okay, let me just put this over here. Why does Chrome do this to me? It drives me insane. It's like, here, add your bookmark, and you try to drag it, nothing happens, it just bounces. Tone ohm. Oh yeah, I know, I've seen these audible short locators. I ended up creating my non-audible one, which was my low ohms meter, which goes much the same in job. It's a 60 LED adjuster. Okay, so this is using chip LEDs, I can see that. $10 maybe. I think the other reason why I'd want to make my own is so that I can get chips that are on the warmer side of the spectrum. Most of these have a bad habit of using just the brightest, whitest blue, well, basically the blue LEDs, and they just blind you. Well, I want something something around about 4200 Kelvin maybe. I haven't got one myself, but I am considering starting to. Oops, that's not what we want to see. No. Hey, Michael Chen. Good, thank you. Alright. Well, now basically I'll put this board back into testing and see how it goes, and hopefully that will fix it, which means I once again have a 165 on the ready for the next time that someone needs one. And the only trouble is I can't remember what the specs were, and I've taken the stickers off, unfortunately. There was a sticker here that would have told me what it is. But, don't know. So I'll have to boot it up and see what it says. You could buy one of the bright white ones and replace the warm LEDs. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Probably not a bad idea. I'd also probably try to put a better power supply onto them. A lot of them really hack cheap power supplies with a lot of noise in them, or power supplies that can't actually comply with the current requirements and things like that. Chamois cloth, yeah, good old chamois cloths. This one's even got the original SMC. No wonder I wanted to keep it, because it's like, yeah, I haven't. There was basically nothing really wrong with it, which is why I was very shocked when it bounced. Yeah, because I was working all fine up here, and then it got down there and it wouldn't start. But yeah, amazing to know it was just those, and we'll never really quite know exactly why them, but at least we know it was them. There's a compact version. Oh man. But still, if the... I'm pretty sure I did put the C on it, but I'll have another look. SS033C. Oh, that's the one that's got the dust mirror built into it too. Yeah, funnily enough, the dust mirror that they've got on there is basically doing the same job as what this thing here. It's doing the same job as what having the Barlow lens or the UV filter lens was. Now, Donald, I'd be curious to see what their spectrum is like. A lot of them, that's the other problem, is you can get a lot of LEDs that have got a very narrow spectrum, so like you have a very hard, say 6000 Kelvin, and they're extremely narrow but extremely bright on that, obviously. But then they, as you say, they put some like 3000 Kelvins on there, but they're also very narrow. So you just have these sort of two spikes in the spectrum, but your eyeballs get tricked by that. What I want to look for, or what I want to create, is one that actually does have a much broader spectrum, so that it picks up a lot more of the nuances of the components that you see down there on the board. By having the broader spectrum, it'll tend to reveal a lot more details of what's faulty on the board, like with the defects in the parts. Whereas if you just simply have 6000 and 3000 and they get mashed together, it doesn't really work out the same. So you sort of have bichromatic rather than broad spectrum. Oh, Pernov's here. Cool. Oh, Pernov. Could you achieve that with some solid diffusing? Probably not, unless you've got something that's phosphorus based in there and it retransmits it up, but then you'd be wanting to use UV LEDs. Only way to get a fuller spectrum is RGB the thing and make dichromatic white. I think I could have sworn there are LEDs out now that do actually, they're doped in such a way that they do have a bit of a broader spectrum on them compared to the old stuff. I'll have another look anyway, because it's always been a pain. Like when the first LED lights started coming out, they were terrible because they were just basically monochromatic. I mean, obviously they're not monochromatic because, they are RGB, but there was just no diversity in it. Yeah, I'll have another look and see what's available at the moment. There's Osram tends to produce some nice ones. Hey, Richard Pearson, Kirsten. Icon and desktop file are not included in the Debian package. Nah. Piano Nova's been so long, no one's really made much mention of it, so I guess we sort of got away with that. So, alright, well, I'm done. It's 2 o'clock in the morning? Oh, 1:30. So, time for me to shuffle off and get some sleep. But thank you all for dropping in. I thought that was just a rare opportunity to demonstrate exactly why having one of these is a little bit more useful than just simply a USB stick on its own or a fan on its own. So that gives you an idea why sometimes testing tools can actually be worth the money you invest into them. Most of the issues with the early RGB is the ability to make the truly blue LED. I always thought the blue LEDs were. I mean, unless you're talking way back in like the 70s or 80s when they had to really come up with some crazy stuff to do blue. The 80s actually. But I think the problem was always that they cheapened out on the blue, the white side by over-investing in the blue. But anyway, I'm going to have a look and see what they've got available these days. Horticultural LEDs. I'll have a look at those too. Alright, I'm out here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll maybe see you tomorrow. Depends what turns up in the queue. So in the morning, if the postman delivers, then I'll deliver. Until then, you'll take care. I'll see you later.